Hey moms, it's Courtney, and I am recording today from the floor of my bathroom with coffee in hand. Gross, maybe, but whatever gets the job done. This is the only place in my house that I can take 5 minutes to myself and get anything done. So here I am. So thanks. What I wanted to do is share with you my story and my birth slash postpartum experiences with you. I will tell you that I also have combated isolation. I know what it is like to feel alone and feel very frightened, specifically after you have a baby. My first experience giving birth, so it was almost 5 years ago now because my son's going to be 5 next month, which is totally mind blowing how quickly it goes. That experience was extremely challenging. I had no friend base, no tribe. I really didn't have anybody in my life except for my sister-in-laws who had given birth by then. But I really didn't feel like I had a safe place to talk about my fears, my expectations. I wanted a judge-free zone, basically. And I did not feel like I had that with my first. And I will tell you that is an evolving problem. That is something that I still struggle with. And it wasn't until I found my own group of women that could help me through maybe just talking through some of my challenges and experiences the first time around. That was really healing for me to find that group of women. So I'm very thankful that I have that now, and I hope that that's something that you can find for yourself also. The birth of my first son came on fast and furious. I had very little time to prepare. I was one of those strange stories you hear about women who give birth in like 9 hours the first birth, which is like unheard of. Usually women labor for 24 hours. Again, it's all propaganda. Nobody's birth is the same. Nobody's birth turns out like Facebook says it's going to turn out. So I was just so busy reading as much as I could and absorbing what other people had told me and just trying to what's it going to be like for me? And then I had no idea that I was going to go like 0 to 7 centimeters within 2 hours. And it was just crazy and fast and furious. And I didn't know how to handle that experience. I didn't know how to handle the pain. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a birth coach. I didn't have a doula. I just freaked out basically and cried a lot and screamed really loud. Really loud. And then I got to the hospital and my poor husband was like in a corner somewhere, like terrified and didn't know how to touch me or help me. And I needed an epidural. And I can remember feeling like such a failure because I needed that epidural. Now, keeping in mind, I went into my birth experience knowing that I was going to be this birth warrior and I wasn't going to need an epidural. And I can do this. I'm just going to breathe. No, did not happen that way. And the postpartum experience I had dreamt of also did not come to fruition. I couldn't get my baby to latch. Couldn't get my baby to latch at all. And I begged that labor and delivery nurse to come home with me through tears and sleep deprivation. And I was so afraid to go home because I didn't know what I was doing. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feed my baby. And I can't give my baby formula. Was that. Where did I get that from? And I think about that now. Where did I get that fear from? I got that fear from what expectations I put on myself, right? And I will tell you, there was nothing more self-destructive than having that thought. And I still struggle to this day thinking those thoughts. But anyway, really wasn't until the birth of my second son that I had a healing experience, that I really truly healed from my first birth. It was a totally different experience. Even my postpartum picture was a very different image than the first time around. The first time around, I was angry, very angry. That is what depression looked like for me. It was rageful. It was angry. I had to walk away many, many times from my screaming infant because I could not handle that. There were times when I didn't leave the same spot on the couch for like 8 hours, except to pee. There were times when my favorite time was when my husband had to put up the signs on my doors that warned visitors at the door to make sure they washed their hands because I couldn't handle the idea that there might be germs in my house. I really struggled. And I guess what I would tell you is all of those thoughts are isolating. You know, isolation might not look like you alone physically. Isolation might also look like you alone in your own mind and you not knowing how to find strategies for yourself to cope with what you're dealing with. That was what isolation looked like for me. So how did I overcome that? I began to realize that part of what I was struggling with was my own identity and losing who I was. So who am I? I just had this baby and I'm a new mom and I love being a mom and I prayed for this baby and I'm so thankful that I was able to give birth to this baby, but I've lost who I am. And how do I get that back? And that was a real struggle for me. So what I did was I started introducing slowly things in my life that I knew would make me happy. So if it was like that 2 p.m. cup of coffee that I really always love, it was diving back into a book, even though it was like 2 pages at a time and then I would fall asleep. Doesn't matter. And then it was performing again. I'm a performer, so I found that I needed to do something. I needed to fill my well because I was drowning in my own self-deprecation and isolation. So I did that. I slowly introduced those things. It's probably my piece of advice for you as well. It's own where you are in your own journey. It is okay to feel like you need to have another identity other than being a mom. I didn't have anybody tell me that that was okay. Instead, I had a couple of conversations with people who said, you're a mom before you're anything else. And I can remember they were family members and they don't mean it in a bad way. I just remember feeling disconnected from that statement. Yes, I'm a mom. Yes, I love my children, but I'm also Courtney. And I need to know that. And I need to be reminded of that. And I'm in control of doing that, of reminding myself every day who I am. So I hope that helps. I will tell you this, there's a lot left to my story, and I will tell you, as I'm sure any other mom would tell you, I still struggle. There is no end to this. There are times, actually recently, when I looked at my husband and I said, I think I still have postpartum depression. I really do. And I wonder, I wonder if I do some days. I really still struggle. I struggle with the balance. I struggle with the identity. I struggle with being something to everybody every single day and doing it with a smile on my face and not losing who I am. It's hard. So I wish you all well. Know that you're not alone and we'll get through this together. And you're all a bunch of rock stars and I admire every single one of you. So hang in there. Talk soon.